I'm Barry Johns, and I want to start out this episode today by giving a shout out to all my brothers and sisters in the hospitality industry who are struggling right now from the coronavirus. I'm proudly wearing a Hilton Hotels and Resorts shirt, the company I work for today, which is a great company, and I want all of us to think about how we're going to come back together once this is all done. So a shout out to all you professionals out there that work in the hospitality industry. Know that this guy here cares a lot about you, and we're going to get through this together. All right, so let's get on to the newscast. This is TTIH News, which stands for Tuesdays Today in History, just in case you weren't sure. Let's get into the newscast today. In 1646, after Oliver Cromwell helped repel the royalist invasion of Scotland, King Charles I surrendered to the Scottish army. After a couple of years of imprisonment in 1648, Charles was forced to appear before a high court controlled by his enemies. He was convicted of treason and sentenced to death. On January 30th, 1649, he was beheaded. Hannah, tell me about Napoleon.
1821, Napoleon Bonaparte at the age of 51 died of stomach cancer. He died on the remote British-held island of St. Helena in South Atlantic Ocean, where he has been exiled to since 1815. Mom's got a story about a famous fire. Mom?
The year is 1842. The Great Fire of Hamburg began in Edward Cohen's cigar factory early in the morning. By the time the fire was extinguished on May 8th, after 100 hours of burning, it had destroyed about one-third of the buildings in the city district, killed 51 people, destroyed 1,700 residences, and leveled several important public buildings. Let's head back to the studio where Barry has a story all about Carnegie Hall.
1891, the famous Carnegie Hall in New York City that was named after steel industrialist Andrew Carnegie had its official opening night. The famed Russian composer Tchaikovsky was the guest conductor. Hannah Noah, are you ready for the Are You Ready to Rumble Lightning Round?
1877, nearly a year after the Battle of Little Big Horn, Sitting Bull and a band of followers crossed into Canada, hoping to find a safe haven from the U.S. Army.
1816, the American Bible Society was organized in New York City.
1494, on his second voyage to the New World, Christopher Columbus arrived at the island of Jamaica and landed at Discovery Bay.
1961, astronaut Alan Shepard Jr. became the first American in space after soaring 115 miles above the Earth in a spacecraft named Freedom 7.
1922, construction of Yankee Stadium began. It opened to the public less than a year later. The stadium's walls were built of a hard and durable concrete that had been developed by Thomas Edison.
Thanks, Hannah Noah. Ever heard of the Cy Young Award in baseball? Well, in 1904, Cy Young, who was a pitcher for the Boston Americans, pitched a perfect game against the Philadelphia Athletics by retiring all 27 batters he faced. It was just the third perfect game in Major League Baseball history. Additionally, it was also the first perfect game in baseball's modern era, as well as in the American League's history. Wow, that was a mouthful. Noah, what's the deal with someone flying solo from England to Australia?
Amy Johnson began her solo flight from England to Australia on this day in the year 1930. She arrived in Australia on May 24th after flying over 11,000 miles. She was the first woman to make a solo flight from England to Australia. Mom has a story about the Scopes monkey trial.
Well, Noah, on this day in the year 1925, Tennessee authorities arrested John Scopes, a substitute high school teacher, for teaching evolution. They charged him with having violated a newly enacted law that criminalized the teaching of human evolution in the state's public schools. He was officially charged on May 25th, and the case has become known as the Scopes monkey trial. It ended with a guilty verdict and a fine of $100. Back to you, Barry.
Well, in 1945, Mrs. Elsie Mitchell and 5 neighborhood children were killed when they found a Japanese balloon in the woods in Lakeview, Oregon. Unbeknownst to Mitchell and the children, the balloon was armed, and it exploded soon after they began tampering with it. They were the first and only known American civilians to be killed in the continental United States during World War II. I want to bring Hannah into the studio to talk about a hunger strike.
1981, Bobby Sands, a 27-year-old provisional IRA member, died after a 66-day hunger strike, protesting the end to political prisoner status for IRA prisoners. His funeral was attended by 100,000 people. He was the first of 10 hunger strikes who all died within 3 months.
Great story, Hannah. There was a reunification process that happened after World War II ended. On this day in 1955, the Federal Republic of Germany, better known as West Germany, before the reunification of West and East Germany that happened in the 1990s, became a sovereign state. The United States, France, and Great Britain ended their military occupation of Germany, which had begun in 1945, after the end of World War II. It's time for the Deep Dive!
Each week I select a topic for one of the newscasts that I provide various materials and references for you and your kids so you can take a much deeper dive into the subject. So this week's deep dive lesson, where your homeschool family can dive deeper into the fascinating subject, is Cinco de Mayo. It's a widely celebrated day not only in Mexico, but also here in America. So let's get to the story. Ever wonder where the holiday came from? Well, on this day, May 5th, in the year 1862, Mexico repelled the French forces of Napoleon at the Battle of Puebla, a victory that became a symbol of resistance to foreign domination and is now celebrated as a national holiday that we call Cinco de Mayo. Links to the deep dive lesson plans can be found under the menu Tuesdays, Today in History, found on our website at homeschool-today.com or on our YouTube channel.
Famous birthdays in history!
1747, Leopold II, Grand Duke of Tuscany and Holy Roman Emperor, was born in Vienna, Austria.
1818, Karl Marx, best known not as a philosopher but as a revolutionary, whose works inspired the foundation of many communist regimes in the 20th century, was born.
1864, Elizabeth Cochran Seaman, better known by her pen name Nellie Bly, an American journalist, industrialist, inventor, and charity worker, who was widely known for her record-breaking trip around the world in 72 days, was born.
History is fascinating. So many things happen every day, all around us now for thousands of years. You can discover more about interesting history that happened on this day or any other day by searching online or visiting your local library.
Please hit the like button at the bottom of the screen. It's what keeps us making these videos. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll be among the first to know as new videos are released. As always, happy homeschooling!